I have a question that I've been asking myself from time to time. And that is, does it really matter when you start playing a gacha game? Well, generally speaking, it depends, right? What kind of goals you have, or if you're planning to spend or not within the game. So, I can only speak for myself, and looking at how I view it from my own viewpoint, I wanted to explore this in this video. I actually remember that I played another gacha game called Star Trek Timelines. I think I started playing it sometime around 2016, like a few months after its release. And I mostly played it because I have always liked Star Trek. Well, I grew up with Star Trek and I liked the characters in it, and I liked the stories. Especially back when the original series ran. This gacha game is basically a card collecting game where you use the cards in various events like battles, missions and crafting events. So when you played events, you got pull currency. And since it was a competitive gacha game, the better you ranked, the better rewards you got and more pull currency you got as rewards. And that was like a catch-22 too, right? If you did not have good cards, then you couldn't rank high, and if you couldn't rank high, you didn't get enough pull currency, and it was hard to stay competitive within the global rankings of the game. So did it matter if I started when it launched? Yes, in this game I think it would have been good to have started on time because of it being a competitive game. So it was kind of stressful to keep up with it, and I think that was one of the major reasons I quit playing it. So I guess for me, in that aspect, it did matter. And then we have Project Sekai. I started playing Project Sekai, the English version, in April 2023. And it has two aspects in this game. You can play it just for fun at your own leisure, or you can play it more competitively. So there's two rankings. One ranking based on how good cards you have and how often you are willing to play to rank high. And the other one is more skill-based. So when I began playing Project Sekai, I realized that competitiveness wouldn't be my thing, since I already started over a year after its release. You can get pull currency by just doing dailies, like any other gacha game, but also through the events. So again, I'm fully aware I'm not going to be able to stay competitive, and also I pull for cards that I find interesting and characters I really like in the game. So what I mostly enjoy with this game is the music charts. So I usually log in, do some beat maps, and then log out. They also have a story aspect in this game, but to be honest, I have only read a few stories, and most of the time my enjoyment is mostly about improving my skill and get better at the beat maps. So for this game, does it matter if I started late? No, since I'm not doing the competitive parts. As for the other two gacha games that I'm currently playing, Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves. For these two games I can actually compare a little because they're both open world games and they both have a main story that you can follow, and they both have combat. So I started playing Genshin around June 2023, and I started playing Wuthering Waves about a few days after its launch. When I started playing Genshin, it had been around for about 2.5 years. It was in its merit patch. I didn't have any problems with the story because I could do the story at my own leisure, but keeping up with the character banners is what's more difficult, especially when I'm free to play. So for my question about starting the game late, it really didn't matter for me because everything was very new to me. I was struggling with combat, I was struggling with getting accustomed to how the game worked, and I was also dependent on others to be able to clear difficult combat situations. Why I think it could have mattered for me to have started when the game came out was because of the characters. Because I like a lot of the characters that comes out, and I can't have them all, right? So I save up whole currency in order to make sure that I have enough currency in order to get the character. So I remember when I started playing, I had some favorite characters. I had like Raiden Shogun, but it turned out that I pulled for Zhongli first because he became more helpful at the time when I struggled with combat the most. But then we went into a new region and so many new characters came out, and I kind of ended up liking most of them. I had to pick and choose. I wanted, for example, Furina and Neuvillette and Navia. A year later, I tried to pull for Neuvillette again, and I think it was the same when it came to Navia. The other aspect of the game is, as I understand it, there are some limited rewards from limited events that are never rerun again. Since I'm aware that it's a gacha game and FOMO is the thing, I accept it for what it is. But do I think it was important to start from the beginning at the game? Not really, because I can still enjoy the things that I got out of the game when I started it. And then we have the other open world game that is similar to Genshin Impact, and that's Wuthering Waves. Because I started it close to its launch, I have something to compare it with. I can now compare how I experiencing starting at launch from when starting late into a game. First of all, like Genshin, there's a lot of characters I like, but I can't have every character that comes out, so I have to pick and choose. I decided early on that I wanted Jian, because Jian is my absolute favorite character, and I managed to get Jinzi and Shorekeeper, Carlotta and Brandt. So I have characters I really like, and now I'm currently saving up for Cardathea. So I quite enjoy that I can kind of keep up with the new characters that are coming out. And the story, well, since I've been following it from the start, I realized that maybe it didn't really matter, because I honestly think the story had a rough start. And it started getting better with Mount Firmament and the Black Shores, and finally now when we are in Rinascita. That story is amazing. I think Genshin has strategic and skill-based portions, it's just that I'm totally bad at it. In Wuthering Waves, it definitely has skill-based aspects, and I find it easier to learn and easier to get into. And from having gone into the game with exploration and story in mind, I had not really anticipated that I was going to get so interested in combat as I am now. So that was quite a surprise for me. Still, I don't really keep up because I can't pull for every character I want. But I'm happy that when I win my 50-50, it's possible for me to acquire the signature weapons. Since I find this gacha system of the gachas I've played so far the most FTP friendly. So back to the question, does it matter if I start playing the game at launch? Well, for Wuthering Waves, it definitely have helped. So my answer is yes here. Even though Genshin and Wuthering Waves are not any competitive games, because the games are more focused on single player game modes rather than the competitive game modes. If they added competitive game modes, I'm not going to be able to keep up that it would require. So, does it matter? The conclusion is, it's always helpful to hop on when the game launches, especially since I'm a casual F2P player. But ultimately, it all comes down to if I can still enjoy playing the game, no matter how late into the game's life cycle I start playing the game. So all in all, it kind of doesn't matter when I start playing the game. I play the game modes I like the most, and I enjoy the game for what they are and at the level that I am at. If I find that I can't keep up with the game, then it's time to find another game that I can enjoy. When there's so many games available, I can just pick and choose. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.